Hi everyone, Sal. Have you ever had this problem? Piece of copper tube, and you want to get this nut and cone off the end of it. You want to renew the fitting, and you don't want to leave the old nut and cone on there. And isn't it a hassle, because you've got to get this thing off, and it's just a horrible job. So what do we do? There's just a few ways you can actually do this. One is to get a spanner. I mean, I've got a really small one, and stick it over the pipe like this, fairly tight, and just keep knocking like this until the thing starts to move. And you can see if it starts to move just by clearing the pipe a little bit. It is awkward and it doesn't always work. Like that one is particularly tough. You can see it's barely moved. I've got to keep on. And the other problem is sometimes there isn't enough pipe. You can't move. There isn't enough leverage to actually move and knock that olive off. So it is a real problem. Now there is a tool that is actually made for this. And that's this thing here, which is an olive puller. But of course I don't expect you guys at home to have anything like this, but I will just show you the tool. Basically it sits inside there like so, and when you spin this part down, it actually closes down on the olive. You can see that there. Okay, and what they've done is given you a universal thread there for the most common size of 15mm fitting, so that the nut can do up like so. And once that's done up, you can then turn this handle and pull the olive off. If I keep going with a pair of grips on there, well I don't need to, I can do this. If I keep twisting this, you'll see that this is now pulling the olive off the pipe. And once I've got it off with this, it's a piece of cake. And obviously there it is. It's away. I've pulled the olive off and you can see where it's come clean away. So this is a lovely tool. And there's the nut and the olive, you can see it there. So that's a lovely tool if you can afford one. Obviously I'm a plumber, so I use them all the time, but they don't work everywhere because you do have to work in confined spaces. You won't have enough room to get it in sometimes to get an olive off. So it doesn't work all the time, and obviously sometimes that isn't always the right thread. They've just used fairly universal one, but some old fittings that won't fit anyway, especially the fine thread. Some of these cones, the nuts on some of these old pipe fittings use a very fine thread, and if they've used fine thread, then you've really had it. It won't go. So not always the job, but most times. But obviously I don't expect you to have anything like that. So what's the other option? Put the nut and cone on there, put it back on. Well, I want to do that, but the other option obviously is that you've got to saw it off. Basically I'll tap it back on just so you can see. Let's put him back down there a bit onto the pipe. I'm not worried about this. Is an old bit of pipe, but the only answer, I haven't put it right back on the pipe because it's obviously an old olive and fitting. I'm afraid it is the junior hacksaw and the olive. And what you've got to do here, and you've got to be very careful when you do this, to take a look, is to put a saw cut across the olive like so. Now when you do that, be very careful that when you saw through that you don't saw through the pipe or nick any of the pipe. Take it almost all the way through, and then just get a screwdriver and ping it apart. Okay, and it's the easiest way if you cannot get obviously one of those pullers off of anybody, or if it won't knock off. Some people try grips around the olive, but that's very dodgy because it can squash the pipe. If you try a pair of grips to get that olive off, you might end up flattening the pipe. And this is the only tried and trusted method I've used for years. Obviously I know how much to give that when I sort of saw cut through there, because I've been doing it for years. But if you're not sure, obviously leave it. But a saw cut through that olive at that angle usually will do it. Don't go right through it, go more or less to it so you don't nick the pipe at all, and then get a fine screwdriver and just nick it apart. Okay, and it will pop off, it will come away. Okay, so it's one of those annoying jobs, but one that I've come across so many times, and I was just asked about it by someone on YouTube yesterday, so I thought I'd let everyone know. But I say the other way is to knock it like so. There you go, cut this off. Because I've only just slid it on a little way, it's come straight off, and that often works as well. Okay, so that's a little plumbing tip from me, how to remove olives off of copper tube if they're jammed on and you can't get them off. Okay, thanks very much for watching. All my videos, of course, Derrickton33. Thanks for watching.